I know how arrogant this is going to sound, but I probably know more about Pisco than the vast majority of bartenders. It's not because I'm particularly smart or motivated to learn new things. I just used to work at a Peruvian restaurant. They had a terrific cocktail program and over 30 bottles of Pisco on the back bar. And unless you did time at a Peruvian restaurant, you might not have caught up with it. And yes, I know Pisco doesn't just come from Peru. I have nothing but love for my Chilean friends watching this, but I didn't work at a Chilean restaurant, so forgive me for only covering Peruvian Pisco here. Now, I'm not the only one who's been bitten by the Pisco bug. My buddy Uncle Pete is also really into it. In fact, we both had the idea to do a Pisco video around the same time, so rather than try and beat each other to it, we decided to upload our videos at the same time. If you like Pisco and you want to see Pete's take on it, check out his video at the end of mine. And if his video ends up covering 98% of the same ground mine does, shoot me. We didn't compare notes beforehand. Okay, back to Pisco. Most bartenders know Pisco as unaged brandy made from grapes. That's true, but it's actually a very deep category. In all, Pisco can be made from 8 grape varietals, 4 of which are classified as aromatic and 4 non-aromatic. The aromatic varietals are Italia, Moscatel, Torrontel, and Albia, and the non-aromatic are Negro Criolla, Uvina, Mollar, and Quebranta. And with those 8 grapes, 3 styles of Pisco are made. The first is puro, or pure. These are made with 1 grape. Think of single malt scotch, but in grape form. You could have a puro that's made from Italia, Quebranta, or any of those other grapes. Next up is acholado. These are a blend of any combination of those grapes in any proportion. It could be a 50-50 mix of Negro Criolla and Albia. It could be 90% Moscatel, with the remaining 10% being a blend of the other 7 grapes. Many distillers like to keep their blends secret, and when it comes to this style, there's no end to what's possible. But at the end of the day, an acholado is only as good as the person blending it. Last is Mosta Verde. Mosta Verde is made by distilling the fermented grape must before all the grape sugars have converted to alcohol. The resulting distillate is unlike anything I've ever had. Mosta Verdes have a heavy, silky mouthfeel, and even though there's no sugar in the final product, the increased sugar in the partially fermented must gives the impression of added sweetness. To me, these taste like something between good cognac and Tokai, rich and slightly sweet but without any added sugar. There is nothing like it. The only downside to this process is it's rather inefficient when compared to regular Pisco production. To make 1 bottle of Mosta Verde requires 40 to 50% more grapes than the other styles. Oh yeah, and Mosta Verdes can be made from either puros or acholados. Not easy to find depending on where you are, but if you ever see a Mosta Verde from this brand, buy it. Trust me. All 3 styles are made in pot stills, distilled once, distilled to proof, and bottled without additives, and that includes water. They must also be rested a minimum of 3 months in inert vessels. For what it's worth, the way 98% of Pisco producers handle this is they bottle their product right off the still into its retail packaging, pack it for shipping, and wait 3 months. I'm not kidding. There is Pisco that's rested over 3 months, but it isn't common. The only brand I know that does this is Capurro, and all their Pisco is at least 3 years old. And they actually put a vintage on their bottles, which I think is kind of badass. Not surprisingly, there are dozens of bottles out there covering everything I've just explained. If you'd like to see tasting notes of some of these expressions, pop over to Uncle Pete's channel after this. He has a handful of different bottles he's tasting in his video. Whew, all that learning made me thirsty. Hold on a second. This is a Chilcano. It's Pisco and ginger ale, and it's a popular drink in Peru. If you're new to Pisco, when you get a bottle, try this first. Now, I can't make this video and not mention Chilean Pisco, so here's how it's different from Peruvian Pisco. Only 3 varietals: Pedro Jimenez, Torrontel, and Muscat, of which there are 10 types. Unlimited distillation compared to Peru's single distillation. Capa, for example, is distilled twice. They can be aged in wood, and they allow additives. Also, why the beef between Peru and Chile in the first place? If you want to know more about that, you'll have to read up on the War of the Pacific, but the short version is, after Pisco production was well underway, there was a war between Chile and a Bolivian-Peruvian alliance. The latter lost, the borders of all 3 countries were redrawn, and Pisco production continued in what was formerly Peru, but is now Chile. Which brings me to another product that, while not Pisco, is worth mentioning: Singani. Singani comes from Bolivia and is made exclusively from Moscatel grapes that are harvested above 5,000 feet. It is not Pisco. But since it's made from Moscatel and Bolivia touches both Peru and Chile, I consider it Pisco adjacent, similar to the relationship between cachaça and rum agricole. If you've heard of this product, it's likely because of this brand, which just happens to be owned by my personal friend Steven Soderbergh. It's the only brand I've had, but since Singani recently became a recognized category in the States, expect more brands to emerge in the next few years. Still watching? Congrats. Your reward is the be-all, end-all best Pisco Sour recipe you'll ever have. Why is it the best? To make a great Pisco Sour, you need to mind 3 things: the Pisco, the citrus balance, and technique. First, the Pisco. Not surprisingly, different piscos yield different tasting drinks. In my experience, the best cocktail comes from an acholado. If you're going to use a puro, stick with quebranta, which is often considered the workhorse varietal, but don't be shy about mixing with other varietals. I would not mix with a Mosta Verde, as I believe the spirit is best enjoyed neat. Next, citrus. Always use equal parts lemon and lime. I don't know where this originated, but it's the way I was trained, and it makes a better drink than lemon or lime alone. Lastly, technique. There's the dry shake, the reverse dry shake. They each have their benefits and they each have their proponents. I was trained to do both. Yes, it takes longer, but if the bar is slow, guests love the show and they appreciate the drink that much more. Okay, let's make a Pisco Sour. Start by adding an egg white to your tin. If you don't feel like eyeballing 3/8 of an ounce each of lemon and lime, juice equal amounts, mix them together, and measure 3/4 of an ounce or 22 mils. While you're at it, you might as well batch more citrus, because let's face it, you're not going to make just one of these. Add the same volume of simple and 2 ounces of your Pisco. In this case, I'm using capurro acholado. Make a good seal as the egg white will expand and get shaking for at least 10 seconds. Add ice and shake for another 10 seconds. Strain the drink into your cheater tin, discard the ice, and shake one last time. At this point, you could dump the drink right into your serving glass, but I like to strain this too, as it makes the surface of the drink more attractive. Let's see if I can get this on the first try. And nope. Happy accidents, am I right? Bright, refreshing. If you've never had one of these, the juice is absolutely worth the proverbial squeeze. But if you don't want to go to all this trouble, find a Peruvian restaurant in your area, order a Pisco Sour and lomo saltado, and discover what love is. If you liked it, hit like, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if there's something you think I should try, let me know in the comments. Take care, and I'll see you soon.